This is the most secure prison in Mexico, impenetrable walls, restricted airspace, and the fame of being impregnable. And yet, today someone will escape. It is not just any inmate, but the most powerful drug trafficker in the world. Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán. He won't use violence. There won't be explosions. He will simply walk into his cell shower and vanish into thin air. He had been in the authorities' sights for decades. But one way or another, he always managed to escape. He has built an empire, challenged governments, and used engineering to outsmart the law. But this is not just the story of his rise or his impossible escape. It is the ironic story of how, after billions spent on tunnels and corruption, it all ended because of an engine breakdown. It all starts in 1957 in La Tuna, a poor town among the mountains of Sinaloa, a tough place where the only way out of poverty was drug trafficking. Young Joaquín spent his youth working in cannabis and poppy fields. Here he began to get noticed. He was a problem solver. When traffickers had problems, they sent him to settle scores, often to kill. He grows under the wing of Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, the boss of the Guadalajara cartel, but when the boss is arrested in 1989, El Chapo doesn't back down. He takes control and funds what will become the infamous Sinaloa Cartel. But to understand why El Chapo was different from other bosses, you don't have to look at the weapons, but the logistics. While rivals fought over street corners, he reasoned like a CEO of a multinational. He revolutionized transport. He was the first to use a fleet of semi-submersibles, capable of transporting tons of cocaine in a single trip. On May 24, 1993, chaos reigns at the Guadalajara airport. Cardinal Jesus Posadas Ocampo is arriving at the terminal. At that same moment, El Chapo is there. The Tijuanas burst into the parking lot and unleash hell with automatic rifles. 7 people die, among them the Cardinal. El Chapo's car and the Cardinal's were identical, a white Grand Marquis. The hitmen confused them. They riddled the Cardinal with 14 shots. The Mexican government cannot ignore the assassination of a high prelate. A huge reward is placed on El Chapo's head. Barely 2 weeks later, he is arrested in Guadalajara and sentenced to 20 years. It seemed like the end, but from the Punta Grande maximum security prison, El Chapo continued directing the cartel as if he were in his office. In 2001, after having served 8 years, news arrives that he is about to be extradited to the United States. El Chapo must disappear. The official version says he hid in a laundry cart, pushed by an accomplice, through the hallways to the parking lot, where he got into the trunk of a car and left the complex unhindered. Other sources suggest that the corruption was so deep that he simply walked out dressed as a police officer. Be that as it may, El Chapo is free again and the timing is perfect. In 2002, the leader of the Tijuana cartel dies. In 2003, the boss of the Gulf cartel is arrested. The rivals are leaderless. El Chapo sees the opportunity and takes it all. In 2006, President Felipe Calderón declares war on the cartels, deploying the army. Mexico becomes a war zone. Between 2007 and 2014, more than 160,000 people died. But in the chaos, El Chapo's power grows immensely. He becomes the most powerful criminal in the world. His cartel controls the cocaine-heroin market, methamphetamine and fentanyl into the United States. It generates billions of dollars a year, so much that he ends up on the Forbes billionaires list. He is untouchable, or at least so he thinks. In 2011, a DEA agent, Andrew Hogan, decides to stop in. He realizes that the federal strategy is not working, so he changes his approach. While an agent intercepts El Chapo's BlackBerry, they discover that he is at a resort in Cabo San Lucas. The DEA and Mexican Marines arrive at the scene, but El Chapo is a ghost. He escapes through the back door a few minutes before their arrival. Hogan does not give up. He moves to Mexico City and begins to study the internal structure of the cartel, its codes and communication systems. In February 2014, they intercept a signal in Mazatlan. A collaborator has booked room 401 at the Hotel Miramar. This time they don't fail. At 6:40 in the morning, the Marines break down the door and find El Chapo with his family. He hid in the bathroom, but without escape routes. His wife begs the soldiers not to shoot. El Chapo surrenders. Mission accomplished. He is locked up in the Altiplano maximum security prison. But his men haven't wasted time while El Chapo is inside. His collaborators buy a plot of land, 1.5 kilometers from the prison. They start digging a tunnel, a $5 million project, 1.5 kilometers long and 1 meter 70 high. It is a masterpiece of engineering, reinforced, lit, and ventilated. The technical challenge was immense. It had to hit a target of 50 by 50 centimeters. Starting from 1.5 kilometers away digging blindly. A single 1-degree error on the compass and they would have missed the prison. For the final precision, they send El Chapo a watch with a hidden GPS in the food, to have the exact coordinates of his cell. The excavation works are noisy, but the guards ignore the complaints of the other inmates. Underground, engineers build a rail on which they mount a modified motorcycle to remove the dirt and finally the passenger. On July the 11th, 2015, at 20:52, El Chapo enters the shower area, in the only blind spot of the camera. He crouches down and disappears. He enters a 50 by 50 centimeter hole, goes down a 10-meter ladder and gets on the motorcycle driven by an accomplice. In a few minutes they travel through the tunnel and exit, in a house under construction from which the prison can be seen. Then they board a plane that takes them safely to the mountains of Sinaloa. Now he is the most wanted man on the planet, but once again, his ego betrays him. He wants Hollywood to make a movie about his life. He organizes a secret meeting with actors Sean Penn and Kate Del Castillo. This allows the authorities to track him. On October 9, 2015, special forces locate him in the mountains. He escapes by falling down a ravine, but is saved by his bodyguards. On January the 8th, 2016, in Las Marches, they intercept a massive taco order made by a collaborator of his. The Marines burst in. El Chapo, true to his style, escapes through a hidden secret passageway behind a mirror that leads to the sewer system. He and his right-hand man come out of a manhole in the middle of the street. They steal a car and flee. But here, engineering has nothing to do with it anymore. The stolen car overheats and breaks down. They have to steal another one, losing precious time. The federal police intercept them on the highway. It's over. President Enrique Peña Nieto tweets, "Mission accomplished. We got him." El Chapo is extradited to the United States in 2017. In 2019, he is sentenced to life imprisonment. The legend has ended. Today, he is in ADX Florence, in Colorado, the most secure prison in America. This structure is designed to break the human soul. The cells are made of poured concrete, including the bed and the desk. Impossible to move or dig. There is a single window 10 centimeters wide, designed so that only the sky is seen. Thus, the inmate cannot know where he is within the complex. The king of tunnels will end his days in a cement box.